Welcome back everyone to Caelesti. This is version 21.1, by which I mean 0.21.1. I really hate the way that Mojang changed their like number conventions for games, but I realize it's quite standard now, so I guess I'm going to roll with it as well. First thing you will notice when you upgrade to this version of Caelesti is that the background panorama for the menu has finally been changed. A long time ago when I used to use Sker and Caelesti, back in the very early days of Caelesti as well, I did used to have a number of custom backgrounds that I would have for each update, but given that the panorama function of Optifine just simply doesn't work and has never been fixed, I was kind of put off from ever using it, but I figured if we're going to be doing updates now in the future based around a single biome, then what's to stop me from just simply having the updates panorama be around the update that we've done. So for example, this update was mainly the birch biome update, so all of the version 0.21 sub-updates are going to now have this birch panorama, and in the future when we go on to do different biomes, we'll have a new panorama for each of those as well. Welcome everyone to Caelesti's Bone Update. I'm not kidding, this is the Bone Update. A while ago I did a live stream where a bunch of dudes watched me make some stuff for the Birch update, and I asked, what do you want to see from the next Caelesti update in terms of what biome or what area or what focus I should have on like the other things on the side. And someone said that I should do bones, so I did bones. So here we have the bone texture, which has been updated to match the new kind of like dull grey brown texture that we're going to have for bones and skeletons moving on. Bone meal is now more of a pile of kind of granulated bone with a few jaggedy bits sticking out, which is closer to what bone meal looks like in real life, but obviously bone meal is more of like a natural browny, greeny color as it is kind of used as fertilizer. So in this game, given that we've kind of got this like low-tech version of real world things, then I guess bone meal is just kind of a pile of mashed up bones. Given that you craft bone meal directly into white dye, I've also upgraded the white dye texture, and all the dyes in the future are going to use a texture similar to this, although for now I have to admit it does stand out a little bit compared to all the other dyes, but I do think it is a nice texture. It just sort of looks like more flaky lumps of like petals, or obviously in this case granulated bone, I guess, but I think it looks good. I think it looks pretty good. Up next we have bone blocks. I'm a little bit undecided on bone blocks, if I'm completely honest. I decided to go for this slightly more unique system of there being one large flat side, which does of course have CTM to connect it up nicely, and then of course we have this side which is kind of split into two, and this is supposed to look like two thin wide bones that have been fit next to each other, like how bones in our arms work, for example. If I remember to throw up a picture on the screen right now, it might illustrate it a little bit better. But honestly, having seen this in World now, I'm not really a fan of it. I think I'm just going to convert it to this flat face on both sides, maybe just tidy up this texture a little bit, put it on both faces, and then we'll have a more like rounded texture for the top to simulate the end of the bone. I think it's a really nice texture though. I like the palettes, and it's worth noting as well that this texture also completely changes whenever the bone block is found underground in a swamp or desert biome, which is pretty cool. And yeah, now I know they've been in the corner of the screen the entire video, so I'll just get to the main attraction. These are the skeleton models that we've come up with. I fucking love them. They're so creepy and weird. Yeah, look at the fucking wither skeleton. I love this shit. Wither skeletons now have one of 16 variants with all different placed heads and bodies and arms and rotations for the legs and things like that. And generally speaking, wither skeletons just look a lot more creepy now, because they'll sort of like look down and look to the side into your soul whenever they're chasing you around. It's a little bit creepy. Skeletons are a little bit less creepy because they're more like, functional. They're more of like a full form skeleton still, and they can basically just look like a normal skeleton dude, which is fine. Hollow eyes, same as my last guy. We just use a simple inverted cube to shape the inside of what's supposed to be eye sockets and a nose socket as well, and I think it looks pretty cool. And of course the skulls for these both work the same way. Hello? I'm getting this weird glitch again, aren't I? Can you render in, please? There we go. Fucking hell. What the fuck? I don't know why that happens so often. But yeah, wither skeletons also do have a little bit of variance there with them kind of sitting into the ground. The reason why I like this, a lot of people like to put skulls on top of walls as like a little ornamental thing. And now if you have a wither skeleton skull on top of a wall, it has like a little bit of variety to it. So say if you had like some dark, dank dungeon that you wanted to kit out with some skulls, you could kind of put the skulls on these pedestals at the side, and it doesn't look perfect. They look like they're sort of having a look at you as you walk past them. I think it looks really cool, basically. I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, I'll show you a few variants of these skeletons. The usual skeleton doesn't have any variants I forgot it's daytime. Doesn't have any variants currently. Looks pretty cool when he's on fire through his eyes there. It's kind of cool. But again, the same thing happens to these skeletons as what happens to bone blocks. If you find them in a swamp or a desert biome, they will have a more brown and more aged texture. With the skeletons, look awesome though. Look at these dudes. I'm going to spawn a few of them around. And I just love how all of their heads are like tilted a little bit, so they're just kind of looking down at you. I wanted them to seem as though their bodies were starting to break apart because they are literally withered skeletons. So they're kind of like skeletons that have become too powerful, grown really big, but now because they're so big and so like filled with dark shit, then they're kind of like starting to break down and be a little fucked up. I had an idea to have it so that they would have like cracks in their skulls and their arms, and there could be like an emissive texture underneath to show like a warm interior. But again, there isn't really a good level of translucency options for mobs right now, so if we were going to do anything emissive, it would either be off or on, and there's no way I can control that, unfortunately. So I might come back to that idea in the future, maybe. We might just do like a molten animated texture inside broken parts of their arms or heads or whatever it may be. But for now, I think they're creepy enough as it is. I think they're pretty fucking cool. This has given me a lot of ideas for other mobs as well, because this is just so simple. All it is just 4 different bones for the head, body, arms, and legs, no pun intended, and they're all just rotated a tiny bit. And because mobs are so much more dynamic in terms of rotations than blocks are, we can have these tiny increments of like a single degree rotated to the left or right, and I just think it looks so good. I'm going to give myself a shield and a sword and see what it's like to actually fight these guys. Let's see. Okay, it's pretty cool. I love how they just sort of sprint at you and like have a little head tilt, but they're kind of looking down at you as they do it as well. I think it looks really cool. There is a lot of variety with the rest of their body as well. Their rib cages and their legs also have a little bit of rotational variety. It's not massive. You can barely see it really, but if you were looking for it, you can see it, and it just makes it look a little bit more interesting. And I got a skull. Are you fucking kidding me? Any of you who've been watching my single-player survival series will know I've killed quite a few of these wither skeletons by now, and I haven't got a single fucking skull, so that is really annoying. Anyway, that'll do it for today's update. Really short and simple one for you there. I hope you did enjoy. After all, I promised I would do the Caelesti bone update, so there was the bone update. I was really tempted to call this the boner update, but there's no pun there. It's not funny. It's just, I'd just be calling it the boner update, which isn't really very good in my opinion. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching. Next episode will be a lot more content, hopefully. I'm planning on coming back and addressing a number of things that I've started and ditched in the past, and it'll just be random miscellaneous crap on the side, as it always is with the sub updates for Caelesti. But honestly, given that I have this new perspective of doing each update based around a single biome, I'm actually a lot more keen to just simply skip out all that stuff and start work on the next update. So you guys let me know below what you want me to do. If there's a particular block or item or mob or whatever that you want me to work on specifically, comment below, and if it gets enough traction, I will definitely work on your thing. You know, there's so many things to do in Minecraft, so many things that we can tweak and we can play around with, and I kind of want to just be given ideas. Like, if you were to tell me right now, you would say, do something interesting with stone brick, you know, like, fuck it, then I'll have a try, and if it's shit, I won't keep it in. If it's good, I'll keep it in, and I'll credit you for making me do it. You know, if you think there's a flower I should do in particular, make me do it. If you think there's a workstation I should do in particular, something that I could put a cool spin on. But then again, if it's something like an anvil, then that kind of demands that I also do every single iron-based block and item in one go, because it's kind of all sharing the same palette and sharing the same style and sharing the same texture system and how it should look and how metal it is and how rough or soft or, you know, all those different things have to be taken into consideration. So if you have any recommendations for what you think I should work on, please do let me know in the comments below, and I shall be sure to give it some consideration. But until next time, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and bye-bye.